President Bola Ahmed Tinubu signed a £746 million deal as he just concluded the UK visit. The money is actually meant for modernization of our ports. That is the Apapa Port Complex and Tinkan Island Port. It's a fantastic thing because it gets us financing to modernize and upgrade our ports. We all know the challenges with those ports, congestion and so on. So it's a great one. But of course, we need to scrutinize it because we know Nigeria, we know our country, we know the way our leaders can behave. So we need to get down to the mechanics of this particular deal. First thing we need to note is that the deal is being facilitated by an agency called the United Kingdom Export Finance. Citibank is also involved. And by the way, Citibank has an insider in Nigeria's government in the person of Yemi Cardoso, who is the CBN governor. He was their chairman at some point, and he also pretty much had a great part of his career at Citibank, Nigeria. So it's a good one. It's a good one for all of us. Now, down to the main issue. That UKEF, the UKEF agency I just mentioned, they have a policy where there must be local content. So basically, UK government or UK suppliers have to benefit by a minimum of 20%. So we are giving you this money is originating from our export finance agency or from one of our agencies. You must use our suppliers and they must supply up to 20% worth of that money we are giving you. That is the minimum. You can't go below that. But what Nigeria, a small country, has done is to say, come and take 31.6% of the entire money. So I asked myself, why exactly did Nigeria negotiate for 31.6% of that money? Why are we giving UK suppliers 31.6%? That's suspicious to me. And I'll actually highlight why I think we are doing that almost at the end of this video, almost toward the end of this video. I would highlight it. Another thing we need to note is that this project is going to be executed by a man called Gilbert Chagoury. I'm sure most of you already guessed that, okay, who is actually going to build the port? It's Gilbert Chagoury, none other than Gilbert Chagoury, Bola Tinubu's friend. And I don't know if majority of Nigerians know this. Gilbert Chagoury was convicted in Switzerland, even though his conviction was later expunged by some legal loopholes, but he was convicted. He also avoided conviction in the US under an arrangement called Deferred Prosecution Agreement. He was also supposed to be convicted in the US, but he avoided it. This is a man who laundered $300 million for Sani Abacha. Bola Tinubu recently made him GCON. And by the way, he's also the one building the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road, and he's the one that built the Lekki-Epe Expressway. So you begin to see the sort of characters that are going to be managing Nigeria's money and resources. So just take note of that. So I've highlighted two things: the suspicious 31.6% local content that Nigeria has given to the UK, and the fact that Gilbert Chagoury, who is controversial and has some brushes with the law, and whose character is in question, is the one that is going to be managing this such a humongous project. So basically, if you look at how the entire thing has also been conducted, you see that there's no transparency. Nobody knew that this was going to happen because, first of all, this did not pass through the table of the National Assembly. There was no competitive bidding as stipulated in our laws. I can count so many laws that were violated to make this happen for Gilbert Chagoury. And just like the way Lagos-Calabar Coastal Road was awarded, without any competitive bidding, without following due process, this has also followed the same pattern. In Nigeria, there are certain laws you have to obey to award such capital infrastructure. Public Procurement Act has to be followed. You have to get advice of the Debt Management Office. You have to follow the procedure of the Infrastructure Concession and Regulatory Commission, ICRC. Your National Assembly has to review the mechanics of the deal. The Minister of Finance and Budget and Planning, they need to figure out a way to make it a component of domestic borrowing. Look at the entire gamut of what needs to happen, because we are trying to avoid stealing. That is why Nigeria created those processes. I can tell you that Bola Tinubu did not follow any of those processes. So it's yours truly. Gilbert, I have a project for you. Come and take it. Senate President, don't bother to scrutinize this, and so on. So that's how we are running Nigeria. This is not a smear campaign. You can go and verify what I'm saying. And this is the way we awarded an 11 to 13 billion dollar road to iTech. That is Gilbert Shagori's company. It's actually iTech that would execute this contract. And all of this is aside the concession they gave him to manage the Snake Island terminal. That's another deal entirely. That is not part of this one. And that one will actually be funded by private money and not public money. And that's why I have not included it in this video. That deal is worth $1.85 billion. So if you look at this, it's all running into trillions. Close to 20, maybe I think 15 trillion or close to 20 trillion for one man in a space of 3+ years. Because he's the president's friend. All protocols, all frameworks, all processes, all policies in Nigeria have been thrown to the dustbin or thrown down the drain or thrown down the Atlantic because of one man, and because we have a president that has captured the states, that is running almost a fascist, in fact, that is running a fascist government. You see, when we say these things, people make it seem like we hate or don't like our president. That's not the issue. The issue is government should be of laws rather than of men. If we're a democracy, let us behave like a democracy. It's because we have failed to follow up with this sort of processes that our leaders have been stealing in the past. They steal what they like, they take what they like. And by the way, I should highlight that Seyi Tinubu is a director on one of the companies in the Shagori group. Of course, that man is his father's friend, so it's not out of place. So I'm saying all of this so that Nigerians will be aware, because most people focused on the color and pageantry of the event, on the carriages, on the beauty. You know, it's the royal family. That deal is so good for the UK government that and by the way, I failed to mention earlier that at that local content policy I mentioned, that Nigeria gave out 31.6% to the UK government. British Steel is the greatest beneficiary of that deal, because Nigeria has already awarded them a contract to supply steel worth £70 million for the development of the ports. The deal was so good for them that they said that this will not only help them stabilize, that is British Steel, to not only help them stabilize, that it would help them for their long-term sustainability, because British Steel, based on what we know, was supposed to have closed down April last year because they were losing £700,000 per day. And if they are closed down, UK would have been in jeopardy, or they would have had to bury their heads in shame, because they will be the only one in the developed world that does not have a steel furnace or a steel blast furnace. So Nigeria coming now is like, we are saving them. You need to go to the media, read what happened with the responses of executives of British Steel. They are so excited. The UK government is so excited that we are saving their steel industry. That's small Nigeria. And that is why the British government said, look, let these guys come. We need to host them. They've done something fantabulous for us. So I'm looking at it, I'm saying, okay, why are we doing this? And the only thing that came to my mind is Nigeria, the current government, probably wants to commit certain atrocities during the next elections. And they need a global power to stand in for them, to put in a word for them, to help them cover their sins. Thank you.